What's up? Y'all looking for me? Yep. Well, here I is. What's good? What it do, good people? What it do? It's about to go down. Yes, indeed. We about to get it cracking. I am Brian Redmond. This is the Relationship Rehab and the United Guns of America. And what I am about to do is break down this Michael Bloomberg, Brandon Tatum video. And I was like, I saw it and I was just like, wow, really? That's what we're doing? And I couldn't believe it. I was just like, look, there's a thing about saying, hey, we trying to get to a certain goal. And if the goal is safer neighborhoods, the goal is to reduce crime, I'm all for that. And yes, there is a lot of different ways to approach it. However, I do think that you need to make it make sense, as Tommy would say. It needs to make sense. It's like what you trying to get to. You just can't get there by saying, "Oh, let's cover our eyes and throw a dart at a dartboard and see what we come up with," or reach into a bag, feel around, and say, stop and frisk. Yeah, let's do that. That'll work." This is like one of those things where I was like, wow, this is what we're doing. This is what the answer is? No. So I want to go ahead and dive into this. I wanted to just look at this video. I wanted to break it down, and then I wanted to explain to you why I disagree. So, but first and foremost, let's hear from my good thing, my wifetress, my side chick, my main chick, my forever girl. Tell us about this fair use.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
107. All right, so for those of you who don't know who this gentleman is, this right here is Brandon Tatum. And no, this is not a police mugshot picture. This is just literally how his video looks. Now, for the most part, a lot of stuff I just recently started watching this dude, maybe about, I want to say about maybe 4 months now, 4 to 5 months. Yeah, because it was like towards the end of last year when I came across his content, and a lot of stuff that I was seeing with him, I kind of like agreed. And I kind of like I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we kind of like on the same page. We saw eye to eye on a lot of stuff. Not everything, but a lot of stuff. So I definitely like his views on the whole, Republican switching over type of thing, the whole getting out off the Democratic plantation, as everybody calls it. That whole thing, it was just a lot of things that I liked about. Also, the fact that he was former law enforcement, and I've had my law enforcement experience. I come from a law enforcement family and all that good stuff, as you all well know, or those of you who know me know. And I watch the dude occasionally. I watched his channel grow, and he's been blowing up and all that good stuff. Been doing a lot of good stuff. So salute to him. But I came across this video, and I kind of I got the Scooby Doo going. I was like, huh? And I was in the kitchen when so I wasn't watching it, I was listening to it. So I had it on in my earpiece and I'm listening, and I was just like, wait a minute, what? I had to go back and I had to hit the little back thing on my phone. I'm like, no. And I said, yeah, we gonna have to go ahead and talk about this here. So, this is just my opinion of the video and what he said and agreeing with Bloomberg. Now, some of the facts that are here, I'm not disputing any of that. However, the approach to what he was saying, in my opinion, the supporting piece of Stop and Frisk, that was some fuck shit. But let's go ahead and let's get into it. So, but first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to the first person in the chat. on the relationship rehab side of the game, none other than my brother from another mother, but still my brother, DJ Just JOK. Salute to you, bro. What's happening, Captain? Good to see you here. And over here on the United Guns of America channel, because I'm broadcasting on too. I'm doing a dual broadcast. Is Mr. Ronald Glover himself. So will he give up his guns first? Nah, he's a Pro 2A dude. I ain't gonna go that far, but this type of Frisk shit is some fuck shit. I'm telling you that right now. So, and that's let's just go ahead. Let's just get into it. So let's see what's happening. Also, I want to give a shout out to Sylvester M. Amanda K. What's happening? Been a long time. My man, who's that? Phoenix Daniil. Haven't seen you before. You look for me. Oh, I think I have. I think I've seen him maybe once or twice. Jefferson Alive. What's happening? And also over here on the United Guns of America, old man Grey Wolf. Salute to you, brother. And let's see. I agree with Bloomberg. We'll complain about crime skyrocketing too. What? Stop and Frisk should be implemented in Chirac, Baltimore. Nope, it shouldn't. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Dexter Vlash, what's happening? So I'm gonna get to that. So we're gonna go ahead and let's dive right in. And here we go. Let me make sure I get my volume right.
But was he wrong though? This video is brought to you by The Officer Tatum Store. The Officer Tatum Store. Get the merch link in the description section. This is the fly shirt on the store. So make sure you visit, like and subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell so you get notification anytime B Tatum go live.
Go ahead,
let's get into this. Mike, mini-me, I need a stepping stool to stand on to talk about my political beliefs. That shit. Mike Bloomberg is under fire, ladies and gentlemen, for what he said on a leaked videotape. So I don't know if it's confirmed or not. I haven't been able to validate if that is actually him. I haven't seen him come out and deny it. I haven't seen any proof that it wasn't him. So I'm just going to go with the premise of saying, if he made this statement, was it true? That's the big thing. People are in their emotional feelings about him saying anything derogatory against African-American people. I get it. I get it. He's white. People don't want to hear white people say nothing bad about black people. But is it true? Are those facts that he's spitting? Now, I'm going to play the video so you guys can hear it for yourself.
So here's the thing. What he's saying is he's talking about the Bloomberg video. If you haven't seen it, you're going to see it here. The thing about the Bloomberg video is that, well, it's actually Bloomberg audio. But what he's talking about is basically crime, high crime areas, and how the policing and stuff should be done in those areas and what that's going to look like. And it's one of those things to where, in a nutshell, you're talking about facts, and I'm not disputing that. But when you're talking about the actual outcome and the implementation of what it is you're talking about doing, there is such a wide margin of just open probability, possibility, and just floodgates of fuck shit going on with that's the problem with this idea. That is the problem with this idea, is because it's too much that can go left. That is the problem here. And it's going to go left because what you're doing is you're giving too much power to a particular group. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the police. You can't give too much power to the police because they will do just like any other group that you give unlimited power. See, if I had like a real production studio and had an executive producer and all that kind of stuff, that would be a cutaway to showing the Emperor or Senator Palpatine when he was shocking what's my man's name? Mace Windu, saying unlimited power. That's what happens. When you do that, they will abuse that power. It's just like and case in point to that is there was a study that was done to where the prison guards, it was at a prison, and what they did was they took prison guards and turned them into prison. They had the prison guards behave as prisoners, and what happened over time is that those prison guards began to literally do fuck shit to themselves, to each other. And it was one of those things where you put these people in a position to where they're prisoners, and the prison guards started treating them motherfuckers just as bad. So it's like when you give a certain group unlimited power, fuck shit is bound to happen. Because power is definitely something, it's like a drug. You can get drunk off of it, and when you get drunk off of it, you gonna call yourself having a whale of a time. Shout out to my cousin Wes. What up? Glad you made it. Yeah, there you go. I started late, but it's good to see you here. I love my cousin, man. All right, but let's go ahead and let's see determination.
But I'll say that I think personally, based on my experience as a police officer and also my experiences looking up details, looking up and doing my research and finding facts, that what he said is absolutely true. Now, I'm going to play the video for y'all so y'all can see it. I want y'all to tell me what you think about it. Roll the film.
95% of your murderers and murder victims fit one MO. You can just take the description, Xerox it, and pass it out to all the cops. They are male, minorities, 15 to 21. That's true in New York. It's true in virtually every city. It's one of the unintended consequences is people say, oh my God, you are arresting kids for marijuana. They're all minorities. Yes, that's true. Why? Because we put all the cops in the minority neighborhoods. Yes, that's true. Why we do it? Because that's where all the crime is.
Okay, so you're saying you're gonna put all of the cops in these neighborhoods, in the minority neighborhoods, and you're gonna be arresting all of these kids and these people between the ages of 16 to 25 for marijuana possession. Well, here's the thing to that. It ain't just niggas in the hood that's smoking weed. That has never, ever been a known fact. It's not like, oh, well, it's only weed smoking in the hood. No, weed has always been and will always be a universal drug. You want to call it a gateway drug? I don't give a damn what you want to call it. It's a universal drug. That means everybody smokes it. Everybody does it. Quite similar to how it was a thing to where, and this is a known fact, white folks snort cocaine. Rich people snort cocaine, right? However, crack is smoked by who? Poor people. Most of the time. The greater majority of people who smoke crack are usually poor. Now, you can transition from coke to crack. You can transition from weed to crack. The point is, cocaine was considered a rich man's drug. Crack was considered a poor man's drug. Either way, why was it that back in the day when there was a crack and cocaine epidemic, you're talking about a drug that is made from the exact same illegal substance, why did you get more time for doing crack than you did for having coke? I don't know. Let me think. Let me ponder on that. Why on earth would a person receive more jail time for smoking a poor man's drug as opposed to a rich man snorting the same drug but get less time? Could that be, I guess, part of the true definition of racism? Where you are literally oppressing another group solely based on the color of their skin, because ain't no poor people snorting cocaine. Ain't no poor folks going to get going to get an ounce of coke to snort it for the weekend. They're not. They're going to get an 8-ball. And they're going to break that 8-ball up and they're going to do their thing. So you knew, and politicians as well as law enforcement officers, they knew where the cocaine was and they knew where the crack was. Crack was in low-income housing, in the hood. It was in ghettos. That's where it was. It's an illegal drug, and it's nothing but rock form of cocaine, essentially, with a little baking soda, and then you put it in there, you free the base. Y'all ain't seen Snowfall, free free the base, and then you take the crack and you spin it around and it becomes a little hard ball, and then you dump that out, then you break it up into little pieces and stuff in little bags. Okay, but that's not important here. The thing is that you got more time fucking with crack. Exactly, Amanda. You get more crime fucking with crack than you did with coke. It's the same drug. You got to have coke in order to get crack. You would think, by that logic, that you would have a higher penalty for having coke than you would for crack. But that wasn't the case. It wasn't. So the thing about just saying, oh, well, you know, you put more police in the high crime areas, yeah, you're going to lock up more people. Well, if you have more crime in these areas, there are a lot of other contributing factors as to why that crime is the way that it is. Then you have to look at the method or the approach of the law enforcement to that crime. And this is where you get down that slippery slope of exactly what you're talking about as far as what's legal and what laws you're going to make, what powers you're going to give to the police, and then how they go about enforcing it. Because that's where shit goes left. Black people co-signed and voted for crack getting more time because it was destroying our neighborhood. Look it up. I personally remember some of the black people who voted for it. We all did, because we were dumbasses back then listening to what the Democrats was telling us. We believed Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton when they came, and Joe Biden, who wrote the crime bill, to do that shit. But what it actually did was that bill did nothing but further fucked us, because what it did was it allowed, and it was the actual beginning of the the most incarceration of black folks or niggas or loose niggas, whatever you want to call it, since slavery. So what you did was you took people's fear and you used it to profit, because the only people who came out smelling like roses on that shit were the people who was building the prisons, the people who were providing the food that went into the prisons, the people who provided the phones, and the phone companies who got the $8 a minute you had to pay in order to talk to the people from the only people that benefited from that crime bill were the people who actually supported and funded that prison system. So again, this is one of those things to where you're right, Jefferson, but you're wrong because you're not considering the fallout from it. That whole 3 strike shit, I can't tell you how many people I know that got fucked with a 3 strikes law and went to jail forever for some bullshit. How many people went to jail with cocaine for 3 strikes law? That's my point. All of the shit that was being done in our neighborhoods, all of the shit that was taking place in our neighborhoods, that was just, hey, this is what's happening. We got crack cocaine in the neighborhood. Yep, black folks were selling it to black folks. Black folks were doing all this fuck shit. Absolutely. Locking niggas up for forever was not the answer. And Bill Clinton admitted that shit maybe about 2 weeks ago. Shit, well, it's a few years ago. But that's not the answer.
Now, was it true? Is it true? We're going to dig into that in this video. I literally, because I have to be thorough about what I say, I literally went onto the New York's website, and I'll put the link in the description section. I went onto New York PD's website to look up the crime rates in the city, and they give you every year you want. I decided to go with 2019. I had to literally subscribe to their channel to get the charts that I wanted.
And salute to him for going out and getting the information. Because
to break it down into race and crimes and all of the above. When I looked at the stats of 2019, we know that it could have been even worse before, but we're going to look at 2019 with all the stop and frisk that they've abolished in New York. Over half of all the crimes committed in New York are committed by black males. Committed by black males. Okay. And they got them separated between black and then black and Hispanic. So we all know that if you're black, you're black. So when you add black and Hispanic to black, it's about 65% of all the crimes committed in New York are committed by.
And this is true.
Black folks. Now let's go with the age. I looked at the age. Almost half, almost the same percentage as black, if you don't add the black Hispanic, almost half of all of the crimes are committed by people who are 24 to 44. Now when you go, I think it was 15 to 25 or something like that, you see 75% of all the crimes being committed by that age group.
True.
So from 15 to 44, you see 75% of all the crimes committed in New York City are committed in that age group. So you tell me, was Bloomberg tripping? Now let's look at this too, because he's.
Yes, because stop and frisk is some bullshit, but I'll let you go ahead and finish.
Spoke about stop and frisk. We know all the liberals talk about stop and frisk and say it's unjustified. It was targeting black people. As a former police officer, let me break this down for you so people can understand stop and frisk. Just because when you are stopped, they don't find nothing on you, doesn't mean that you're not involved in criminal activity. That doesn't mean that you didn't leave your gun at home today, although you used it yesterday. That doesn't correlate. So what they were doing to negate the stats, and I'll put the stats up here. I'll show a chart in a second. A stats of what happened to the crime rate when stop and frisk was at its all-time high. Crime went down. People were safe. The murder rate dropped when they stopped and frisked. The reason why, similar to what Bloomberg said, is that when they know that you after them, when they know that you're coming and you're stopping them and you're in the neighborhoods, they're not going to have a gun on them. So what do you know? They get savvy and they leave their gun at home. And they don't, then they can't participate in certain crimes. That's why you see the murder rate drop. Before I finish, I'm going to show you the chart.
Now, here's where we talking about stop and frisk. Because back then, when they did have stop and frisk, they didn't have police review committees. They didn't. They didn't have social media where niggas could go live when fuck shit was going on like they do today. How many videos have we seen? And I just saw one today. That my wife sent me. How many videos have we seen where the police did some outright fuck shit, totally violated a person's civil rights just because they could? And we're talking about what we're seeing today, where the police are more conscious about being recorded and social media than ever before. So imagine back when Bloomberg had this bullshit going on, how many niggas just got their ass whooped for no reason? How many niggas got shot for no reason? How many niggas just got thrown up against the wall regardless of where the fuck they were going or where the fuck they were coming from for no goddamn reason because stop and frisk was legal? And here's the other point. If this was such a great crime fighting tactic, why the fuck doesn't the rest of the country do it? Because it's too much bullshit that you don't hear about and won't see if you put this shit in place. Giving a police officer, and you're talking about somebody who's pro-police, giving a police officer the complete autonomy and authority to stop and throw a motherfucker up against the wall, throw a motherfucker on the ground, draw down with a pistol on a motherfucker just because he can, it's dumb as shit. Because you know what's going to happen? Here's the other problem with this. You have, number one, you have police, especially in high crime areas, you have them outmanned in the first fucking place. Part two to that is you have police who are not well trained enough, and now you're going to have a bunch of, oh, I thought his phone was a gun. Oh, I thought that candy cane was a pistol. Oh, I thought his Coca-Cola, it was Diet Coke, so it was a black label. I thought that was a Glock. That's what the fuck you're going to have more of. Because the fact that a police officer gets to pull their gun out first and foremost without provocation, it generally tends to have a motherfucker to get shot quicker. Because that's what these dudes are going to do. They're going to be just like the motherfucking tag teams back in the day. Motherfuckers used to call them the jump out boys, right? That means them dudes did what? They rolled around and they jumped out on the gangbangers. They jumped out on the known drug dealers. They jumped out on their ass and was like, yeah, we coming to get you. However, you give that authority to any fucking blue and white police officer, any uniformed police officer in the fucking city, it's gonna be chaos. Because they're gonna abuse that power. They can see a nigga walking down the street in a fucking Brooks Brothers suit. And if they ain't got shit to do, they gonna throw his ass on the ground. Not because he done did some fuck shit, just for the simple fact that they can. You're going to open the floodgates to fucking police shootings. You're going to open the floodgates to police beatings. Because people ain't just going to be going and just want to be walking. I'm on my way to my job. I'm a goddamn manager or supervisor or whatever. And a motherfucker telling me to get the fuck on the ground with a Glock in my face. And it's fucking raining outside. And I know plenty of asshole police officers that are gonna fucking do it because there are a lot of police officers that are fucking assholes. And it's shit like probable cause that keeps that shit in check. So you can throw up a million fucking bar graphs all you want. I'm telling you what I know about police that I know and police shit that I've seen. You got police officers that are in this job and that are on a police force just for the power trip. Because I got a badge and I got a gun and I can do what the fuck I want for the most part. You got people who join just for that. I was a nobody in high school. I was a dumb jock in high school. Now this is my chance to be the man. Literally. That's why fucking so many people in New York hate the fucking police. That's why NYPD, although the most prestigious police department in the country, is one of the most hated. That's why there's so much fucking corruption in NYPD, in CPD, in all these other inner city police departments. That's some bullshit. And I'm telling, and I get what you're saying, Amanda. I am a police guy. I come from a police family. I got uncles. My daddy served on the Chicago Police Department in the motherfucking hood for 30 years. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. But I'm telling you, this is not a solution to solving crime, especially in high crime areas. Because what's going to happen is that you're going to have these young motherfucking police officers doing what the fuck they want to do, stopping and frisking anybody. And the problem with that is that these young police officers, they're not trained and they're fucking scared. You got your atypical white boy who been living in the fucking suburbs all his life, had a fucking C average in fucking high school, went to fucking community college and studied law enforcement, never been around niggas, let alone loose niggas. The only black person he knew was the one that stayed a few blocks over and went to the same school that he did, or it was a handful of them. Now you got this asshole who done went through the academy and now he's out in the inner city of fucking Chicago and turned loose in one of the worst neighborhoods in the fucking country. You know what he's gonna do? He's gonna enjoy stop and frisk. Why? Because he's gonna think he's on fucking safari. He's gonna think, yeah, I'm finally gonna catch me a nigga. I'm finally gonna get me a black person on the fucking wall. Finally gonna get one of these fucking thugs, man. Yeah, man. You have plenty of cops like that. And not all cops are like that, but there's a good enough amount to where you're going to have a lot of innocent, dead niggas. Plain and simple. And that goes for Hispanics too. Yeah, we're going to get us some fucking essays. These fucking essays better get their fucking hands up, man. Exactly. And I get the fact that Brandon Tatum, Officer Tatum, he policed in Arizona. Cool. I've never policed in Arizona, but I can tell you this, it ain't the motherfucking hood. I have lived in the hood. I've been on both sides of the fence. So I'm telling you, there's a huge difference. As Trump would say, huge difference. Being in an inner city with stop and frisk is a bad thing. It is a terrible thing. The ability to where you can just stop any Tom, Dick, and Harry, I'm sorry, any Leroy, Jaquan, Daquan, Tavares, Tamarius, any motherfucking time you want, and you throwing their ass down on the ground, throwing their ass up against the wall, slapping the cuffs on them, then you questioning them, it ain't gonna do nothing but increase fucking bad relationships between the public and the police, and they're gonna do nothing but get a lot of innocent people's ass whipped, and yes, some of them are gonna be well deserving of it, and some of the people that's gonna get their ass whooped are going to be the bad guys. But you don't get to decide that just on a fucking whim. That's not how this shit works. It's just like being back in the day with the fucking the Germans. They walk around and be like, "Where are your papers?" If you ain't got no papers, you might get your ass beat, or you might get your ass killed, or at the very worst, get rounded up and taken to a motherfucking camp. You ain't got no papers saying you can be out here. Just like when slavery was over. When slavery was over, Lincoln freed the slaves, right? Wrong. They got taken into fucking, hey, look, this is sundown city. This is sundown state. This is sundown county. When the sun go down, better not no nigga be out on the streets. That was one of the biggest things that they put the police out in the streets for, was to round up niggas, to send niggas to the chain gangs, to keep the slavery shit going. And what did you do back then? You had a group of people who had complete autonomy over another group of people. What the fuck did they do? They abused the fuck out of them. Just like when I was telling you earlier about the correction officers that were put into the prison as fucking criminals. Motherfucking correction officers abused the fuck out of them. And you talking about fucking correction officers that knew the system. They knew what to do. They knew how the shit worked. They was complying. What happened? They still got treated like shit because there was another group that had complete power over the other. They abused it. That's what will happen with stop and frisk. That's why stop and frisk is bullshit.
Look at the chart right here. It speaks for itself. Okay, that's enough. You've seen it. Now, this is what I'm going to say. Stop and frisk is a valuable source to stop crime and prevent crime. The reason why I would say the LGBT, the liberals are mad is because it doesn't fit their narrative. They want black people to feel victimized by the government instead of them looking in the mirror on their own issues. Majority of the crime is committed by minorities, specifically black folks. Now, majority
that's what it's called,
black folks.
The Stanford experiment.
That makes perfect sense.
I think that may be it. I'm not sure. I just remember this was a long time ago when I was in school and they talked about this. I was in school and I took a few law enforcement classes, and this was one of the things that was talked about. I can't remember if that was it or not. It could very well be, but I just remember the whole premise of the thing was that you had people that were doing the right thing that were put into a prison system like criminals, and they saw how the motherfucking police officers, the COs, literally fucked them over, took advantage of them, beat their ass for no reason, treated them like shit, and just like did not give a shit about them. Plain and simple. Not to say that that's how all prison systems are, all jails are, but in general, eventually that's what will happen when there's no laws to say you can or you can't do this. And I get it how a lot of people say fuck prisoners, they shouldn't have no fucking rights and all that shit, but you have to have those rules in place, because when you don't, rules are there to help maintain balance. That's what they're there for. You got the whole order and chaos dynamic that you have going there, but that shit is, when you talk about shit like probable cause is just for that. Yeah, that's it. Okay, yes, that's it. Yep, we'll put under in the guard or prisoner role. That's what it is. Thank you for correcting me, sir. I appreciate that. That's what it is. Look that up. Look up the Stanford experiment. And you'll see how motherfuckers treated motherfuckers just because they were given power. Hey, y'all, that's what you are correct, sir. Y'all motherfuckers gonna be COs. Y'all gonna be motherfucking prisoners. And it was people from all walks of life. You are correct. Thank you for correcting me, sir. It's been a long time since I've been in school. But same thing. It's the same fucking principle. It was just showing how when you give one group power over the other, that group will abuse that shit. Just like even taking that shit into the whole thing about politicians and them trying to do this so-called gun control / gun confiscation shit. You're giving a group too much fucking power, and had it been to where they could just do what the fuck they wanted, and there was no constitution, and they could just say, oh yeah, we're just gonna do this. We would have been done away with guns, motherfucker, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. They'd be like, nah, fuck that, we taking all y'all guns. Why? Because we can. Even when you listen to the Betos and the Bidens, they're telling you how to fucking live based on their life experience. What the fuck kind of shit is that? You literally have people telling you how to live and what you should do based on how they're living today. I'm a billionaire. None of my friends have guns. We all have 12 gauges and 20 gauges. You don't need weapons. Meanwhile, you got a fucking detail of motherfuckers walking around with fucking 6 hours and goddamn MP5s. Man, get the fuck out my face on the internet. Living in a gated community. Please. That's exactly what it is. That's why the Constitution is so fucking important. And everybody that's always so quick to fly off the handle and talk shit about this fucking country, you better recognize where the fuck you at and realize, count your blessings, motherfuckers, because you can't say or do the shit you do here anywhere else in the world. So you best believe, yes, my black ass, I am a fucking patriot. I do fucking love this country like a motherfucker. Wrap my black ass up in a flag, yup, show the fuck will. Because you can't go to fucking North Korea and talk this shit I'm talking. You can't take your ass over to fucking China and talk the shit that I'm talking. You can't go over to Russia and talk the shit that I'm talking. Nope.
The people want to make the argument and say, well, they stopped them more than whites. It doesn't work like that. The police department goes where there's crime. Just like Bloomberg said in his video, or the leaked tape. They go where crime is at. They don't go where color is at. They go.
Here's the thing with that. You saying they go where crime is at, they don't go where color is at. You just said what the facts are with the stats. The stats show that the most motherfuckers committing crimes are the most motherfuckers of color. We all know that. So it's like you're trying to motherfucking make it seem like the police, they're just doing what they're supposed to do. They're not. No, they're gonna be in that situation. They're gonna be where it's at. They're gonna be locking up niggas because most niggas commit the most crimes. What are you talking about? That's what happens. When you're talking about what black folks do, you're talking about what high crime areas are. What are the things that accompany high crime areas? And this is gonna help you with the solution, Jefferson Alive. Breakdown of the family. So you're talking about single family homes. You're talking about low income jobs. You're talking about a shriveled up or non-existent job market. And then you're talking about what? Democratic inner cities. Where they're giving you a bunch of subsidized bullshit to single mothers. And they're saying fuck you to all of the men and fuck you to all of the good paying jobs. Do you realize that in most of these blue states with these blue inner cities, that most of those motherfuckers don't have the booming businesses like the Amazon warehouses? They don't get the fucking the big car plants and all that shit. You know why? Because the Democrats want to tax every motherfucking thing and every motherfucking business they can so that they can increase their fucking pockets. That's why. I just found out that one of my buddies in Chicago, he just was able to get an Amazon warehouse in his area. Ain't there yet, but on its way. Look how long it's taken. That's all I'm saying. It took forever for fucking the big box stores, the Targets, the Walmarts, all of those big box stores, the Whole Foods to get into the inner city of Chicago. Why? Because the city was trying to tax the fuck out of them. You want to come into our cities, you're going to have to pay these taxes and give us all this money, and then we'll let you in. Well, what about what it's doing for the people that's there? You put a Whole Foods in the ghetto. You put a Walmart in the ghetto. You put a Target in the ghetto. At the end of the day, you might have to lock up 80% of the shit with spider wraps and fucking cages, but motherfuckers got jobs. You put a fucking UPS or a FedEx warehouse in the hood. That gives motherfuckers jobs. That gets people off of welfare. How about that? As far as the solution is concerned. You offer jobs to people. Yes, you still gonna have niggas that's gonna do fuck shit. But now you're able to put yourself in a position where you can start changing the base of the economics. Instead of your hood being funded by weed and coke and heroin, now your hood is funded by an Amazon, a Walmart, a Target, or whatever other companies you can get to come there. A Ford, a Toyota, a Chevrolet. That's how you start changing the dynamic. You have to first and foremost provide a different economy. If everybody in my family is a fucking drug dealer, chances are I'm going to wind up being a drug dealer. Why? Because the stage is already set. I got the connect. I got the street muscle. I know the people. Hey, my name rings in them streets. That's all I'm saying. And then to Vicky's point, once you have big business there, small businesses open up too. You got a FedEx plant or you got a UPS plant in the hood. Now you got a dry cleaners. Now you got a breakfast spot, a 24/7 breakfast spot. Why? Because you got people working all 3 shifts now. Now you got grocery stores. Now you got all of the different types of, well, you're going to have a weave shop, which is already there. You're going to have a liquor store, which is already there. And you're going to have plenty of churches that's already there. But that also opens up the avenues for other things. Car washes, laundromats, whatever the case may be. Apartment buildings. Because all of those people who work at a FedEx or a UPS, they all won't own homes, but they'll damn sure rent, especially at a place that's closer to their house. Now you get the fucking police involved to make the neighborhood safe. Start sitting out in front of these fucking trap houses. People make it seem like this law enforcement shit is like rocket science. It's not. You know why there ain't no trap houses in the fucking affluent suburbs? Because motherfuckers call the police. Motherfuckers will sit a police task force on a particular group of gangbangers. And they will lock their ass up. Or destroy their business. So you can't have an influx of jobs and an influx of an improved economy and don't have the police to back that shit up. I don't want to come park my car at the UPS parking lot and while I'm in there working a fucking 12-hour shift, my car getting broken into. That's where the fucking police step in at.
Where there's crime. And it'll be a waste of time, energy, and resources. And no police officer want to go somewhere to harass people and they're not going to get anything out of it.
Do you even hear what you just said? No police officer is not going to want to go and harass somebody. Motherfucker, they not supposed to harass people. That's the fucking key to this. They're not supposed to harass people to get anything out of it. Do your job. Police work. Investigate. Not harass motherfuckers. Do you see what I'm saying? This is why stop and frisk is a bad thing, because that's just what you're going to have people doing. These police officers are going to do what we call going hunting. I'm hunting everything. When you go hunting for deer, do you shoot the deer you see, or do you wait for a 10 buck? Do you wait? I mean, a 10 buck, a 10-point buck. If you see an 8-point buck along the way, if you see a 6-point buck along the way, you gonna shoot that motherfucker, right? Yeah, because what? I'm hunting deer. So if I know niggas commit the most crimes in a high crime area, if I know that niggas and spicks are committing the most crimes, what do you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be throwing niggas and spicks on the ground all day long. That's what I'm doing. Why? Because it increases my odds of fucking finding some illegal shit. Because the day you start stopping frisk, niggas ain't gonna leave their drugs and dope and their guns at home. There's gonna be a severe learning curve. Because what? I'm hunting, I'm stopping everybody. That's gonna be my mentality. That's just like I watched that video. I'm gonna do this video probably tomorrow. I saw that video of this dude that pulled over a black dude, and I brought up color because it's pertinent. He pulled white cop, young white boy, pulled over a black dude because he was doing 65 and a 70. What the fuck kind of shit is that? Oh, I was just seeing if you were okay. I've had that done to me. Yeah, I saw that you were you kind of swerve when you change lanes. Motherfucker, I'm in a caddy. I ain't swerving, nigga. I'm gliding. But you saw me in a sweet ass car and said, what this nigga doing in this white neighborhood with this sweet ass car? So I'm gonna pull him over. I get it. Because what are the odds of you having a straight and narrow dude driving at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night in a predominantly white, affluent fucking suburb, in a fucking beautiful fucking black Cadillac with the gold VVS's, man? They shit look like a rocket ship, man. I'm just saying, what are the odds that that person is on the up and up, being a black dude? I get it. Point is, that's what probable cause is for. Now, did he come up with a bullshit ass reason to pull me over? Yes. Just like that police officer came up with a bullshit ass reason to pull that guy over. He just wanted to check him out to see if he was doing okay. I'm doing 65 and a 70, motherfucker. That's not even remotely close to being against the law. Now, is it against the law to be doing a considerable amount under the speed limit? Yes. If I'm doing fucking 40 and a 70, absolutely. That's weird. Exactly. Concerned about, you see what I'm saying? So I get the whole profiling thing. Profiling is a part of policing. A lot of people don't want to say it. A lot of people don't want to admit it. It absolutely is. Profiling is absolutely a part of policing. The thing is, that's why there's probable cause in place, to keep the fucking reins in control so you ain't going too far. Because that's how shit can go left. Because if that police officer pulled that dude over driving 5 miles under the speed limit and shit went left and that nigga got mad and got to cussing him out and got pissed off and that white guy wound up shooting that motherfucker, that white boy backed off because he saw he was clean as a whistle, driving a rental car, which meant it was a new car, and he wanted to fuck with him to check the laws of averages. But he did that shit because he said, well, let me let this motherfucker go because I initially only stopped him because he was running 5 miles under. And that ain't going to hold up in the court. That ain't going to hold up when I'm talking to my motherfucking, my CO, my commanding officer. That's what he did. And he backed off because it wasn't shit there, which was smart on his part. But what would a police oversight committee do with that? Does he have that? Is that in place in that county? Is he going to stay because he was from out of town? Is he going to stay in that area to pursue that? No, which is why them numbers look the way that he looked. Because everybody can't go to a police oversight committee. Everybody don't even have a police oversight committee. So you going into an officer police station and making a fucking complaint, it's bullshit. It's just like when police officers fluff the numbers on the tickets they put out. Motherfucker gave my wife a ticket, and on the ticket, it asks you what this person's nationality is. This motherfucker put white on there because my wife is light-skinned. Why did he do that? Because he wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt and didn't want to offend her? Bullshit. He did that because it favors the numbers when they run that report, and they gotta publish that shit every year on how many white folks they done pulled over and wrote tickets to, how many black folks, how many Hispanics, and so on and so forth. That's why he did it. It's bullshit. But I get it.
See, the problem that people don't want to face up to, that they don't want to acknowledge, is that there's a culture that's in the black community, in minority community, especially the poor communities, a culture of crime, a culture of violence.
And he's correct.
A culture of gang activity. Those things are culturally acceptable. If you do not...
It's not culturally acceptable. It's a part of our culture, but it's dysfunctional. And we've learned to function in that dysfunction. And the cure to that is not giving a group of untrained officers who are not from nor live in that community to give them the complete authority to throw every last one of them niggas in that community up against the wall or on the floor or on the ground. Because that's essentially what you're saying. People think stop and frisk is going to be some police officers rolling up saying, "Good afternoon, sir. How are you today? Do you mind if I ask you a few questions on where you're going and what you're doing this evening?" That ain't how that shit works. That shit is going to be just like you see in the old school TV shows and the old school motherfucking movies back in the 90s where the police just jumped out with their fucking pistol. I say, "Hey, get your fucking hands up, man. Let me see your hands. Get over here, put your hands on the hood." That's what you're going to see. And the minute the motherfucker be like, "Man, what the fuck y'all doing, man? What you stopping me for? Shut the fuck up and put your hands on the hood." That's what you're going to get. Because you're not going to be able to roll in that community and in those neighborhoods and be officer fucking friendly doing stop and frisk. Now, when you talk about a Terry frisk, you got to have some probable cause for a Terry frisk. All for that. Officer safety. Hey, man, we got a person who fits your description on robbing a Radio Shack. And, hey, we need to pat you down, sir. We need to ask you a few questions. Probable cause. Motherfucker got on the white tee and some blue jeans. Hey, that's what came in over the radio. I stopped the first nigga I saw that had on a white tee and some blue jeans. May not be the guy, just might be the guy. Makes sense. But just being able to just be in the car, riding with your boy, Boyd and Warnarski, just riding and stopping Robbie Williams like they did in not Friday, but House Party. They could have threw that motherfucker on the ground and slapped cuffs on him and asked him some questions. You detaining me? Yup. Why? Because I can. Got any guns? Got any guns on you? No, I was at home with the dope. That's exactly what would happen.
Believe me, show me a white Chicago. Show me an Asian Chicago. Show me a Hispanic Chicago. Majority of the people are killing or being killed.
Fact of the matter is, Chicago is probably I believe, still identified as the most segregated city in the country. Chicago is segregated like a motherfucker. There is an all-white part of Chicago. There is a Hispanic part of Chicago. There's an Asian part of Chicago. There's definitely a black part of Chicago. Now, you might find a little sprinkle here and there, but every place isn't like a High Park in Chicago. Like, High Park is literally considered a melting pot, similar to like New York. It's Hyde Park is the best impression Chicago has of a New York. Kyle Reese said, "I thought you and Brandon Tatum were going live for a split second." Hey, I'd be open for the conversation, but I'm just an itty bitty YouTuber, so I don't believe that would happen. But I would definitely be open to having a conversation. That's what it's all about. I detest being asked where I'm coming from and where I'm going by the police. See, and here's the thing with that, Kyle, and that's why I said, man, I believe that I'm calling this shit right down the middle. police ask you those type of questions. Where you going? Where you coming from? Where you live? What you doing around here? They do that to establish rapport, and they do that to see if you're gonna fucking lie. They do that to you're basically running a baseline. Because if I ask you where you going, and you be like, huh? Sir, where you going? Motherfucker, you in a car, where the fuck you going? Or you walking down the street, where the fuck you going? Is it a fucking secret? Unless you're going to do something illegal, you ain't going to want to tell me, or you've already done something illegal. So you don't answer that question, it would bring up suspicion. Hey, where you going? I'm going to the store. Where you going? I'm going to buy ice here at 7-Eleven. Where you coming from? I just left Walmart. Hey, what you pick up at Walmart? I'm just asking questions. It's not against the law for the police to ask you questions. But if you're not being forthcoming without any type of reason to it, then it's going to make me think you own some fuck shit.
Are black folks in one or two sections of Chicago? All you got to do is show me a white Baltimore where you're seeing people getting murdered, killed every day. Every other day, 2 or 3 people a day at some times. There was 82 shootings in Chicago in one weekend. Show me where other races are doing this.
And here's the thing. You have a point, but there's more to it than just crime. Because in all those other areas, you have traditional families, you have fathers in homes, you have jobs, you have good schools. You have people that are involved in the community. You don't have a bunch of fucking liquor stores and fucking beauty supply houses and churches on every block. You don't. You go into any of those neighborhoods, in any of those white affluent neighborhoods, you don't have that shit. So yes, and that's not just the only thing that happens, but it's part of it. This isn't a thing where, oh, niggas just choose to be just violent and ignorant just for the sake of being violent and ignorant. No, there's a lot going into this that's causing that. And yes, a lot of the responsibility is on us, but there is also a government piece to that is taking place, and the system that we're living in, which does that. And just like when we talked about earlier, that mass incarceration of black folks during the fucking late 80s and 90s, that shit fucked us up. It derailed us like a motherfucker. You got a bunch of young boys growing up without their fathers. You got a bunch of young girls growing up without their fathers. This is what it looks like. Because it ain't happening nowhere else.
Okay, so now that we got that out the way, now that we got the fluff and emotions out the way, we have to dig into the real issues. Now, I really believe that Bloomberg is going to have a real problem with the black community because of what he said. But in reality, it's true. And conservatives want to jump on this case, which I agree with, because we need to play the same game they play against us. If he want to claim he's championing the black community, you're saying disparaging things about black people, that's going to blow up in your face. But in reality, Bloomberg, he gets it.
No, he don't. Bloomberg is literally just trying to solve a problem by just saying, lock all these motherfuckers up. That's literally what he's doing. That's literally what he did. I'm sorry. That's literally what he did. And when he said the shit with a complete disregard for the people that live in those communities and live in those areas that aren't criminals, but they would still be subjected to the shit of being treated as such. So yes, Bloomberg is doing some, he came up with a solution that was a terrible solution, and to try to implement that shit today, it wouldn't be nothing but a huge clusterfuck, because you have a bunch of outmanned and officers that are not well trained taking on a job or a task that would require a group of well trained and a large number of officers to do this. So the two things that you would need to even remotely try to curb violence in an inner city that has a high crime area, you literally need a larger number of police with resources that are well trained. And that's not what most inner cities have. They do not have the resources to do the police job. And to me, that's an insult to the police that are there that are good police. These motherfuckers know what they're doing. They just don't have the resources to do it. Or they don't have enough well-trained officers to do it. All of the killings and all the shit that's going on in Chicago and Chirac, all of that shit is based on allocation of resources and funds. It's a lot of good police in Chicago. It's a good number of good police in Chicago. However, they got them dispatched where? On the Magnificent Mile. They got them dispatched where? On the Gold Coast. You don't hear that fuck shit happening over there, do you? When's the last time there was a drive-by shooting on the Gold Coast? Down on the 31st Street Beach. They cleaned that shit up. 31st Street Beach used to be a fucking war zone on a hot summer day on a Saturday in July. But what did they do? They allocated resources and they put good officers in those areas to keep all that bullshit from happening.
I watched a couple videos and I don't know what he thinks about other political views because I don't even pay attention to him. But when it comes to criminal justice, he gets it. When it comes to being tough on crime, he understands it. And to be honest, Bloomberg is probably the most dangerous candidate to President Trump, given the fact, if he's willing to stand by the things he said. Because if he's willing to stand by the things he said and he's strong, then some people that are conservative may actually vote for him. These other people are all whacked. They're all whacked out. Biden, all these people so whacked out. People in the middle, people who are conservative can never vote for them because of what they stand for. So I don't know, man. I want to know what you guys think, man. I think that Bloomberg made a statement that was rooted in facts. People are not going to like it. People are going to be mad at him. But it is what it is, man. And I'll tell you this.
Here's the thing. I'm all for anybody saying what they want to say, especially making a statement in facts. What he was coming up with was a solution, trying to base it on those facts. And that's where I disagree. There's a problem with high crime areas or areas that have high violence, and trying to say that that solution was the statement to make because of the facts, no fucking way. No way whatsoever. That is not the fact. That is not the point of saying, well, hey, yeah, well, you got these areas and you take these areas, you can Xerox copy the same thing all across the country and all these different ghettos is like that. It's the typical person that's going to fit the description of what this is. Yeah, but that don't mean you just say, okay, we just going to throw all these niggas pretty much in jail or up against the wall and throw them on the floor and pat them down until they stop doing this shit. That ain't what you get to do. That's not how this country works. So stop and frisk was some bullshit. Plain and simple.
Before I finish, the only way we're going to be able to combat, fix, make better, be more efficient is if we can admit to what's really going on.
And what's really going on, it's an entire system that is not serving its people. There is no way, and here's why I'm proving this, there is no way you could literally have a pocket of high crime area that is not affecting the rest of the city. That is a lack of resources. That is a lack of well-trained cops. Back in the day, what did you do when you had high crime areas, high gang activity areas? You put together task force. Plain and simple. Whether if it was 5 people or if it was 50, you put together a task force to take down that particular group. Has that ever worked before? I think the FBI does it quite often. Yeah, I think the FBI does. Yeah, I think they do. You know how they did it? Well, if you want to look up or Google, because all I want to do is support my statement with facts, Google Larry Hoover. Google Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover was the leader of the Gangster Disciples. Well, still is the leader of the Gangster Disciples. He ain't dead. Leader of the Gangster Disciples. How did they lock him up? They put an FBI task force in place to say, God damn, this nigga's making millions of dollars. Go lock his ass up. The GDs was grossing, I think they said back then, $100 million a year. They said, oh, hell no. We gonna get the feds in on this shit. This ain't no local. They paying local PD. We can't have this shit. That's what they did. They put together a task force. They didn't say, stop and frisk all the GDs. Anybody wearing black and blue, stop and frisk them. Anybody who got their hat cocked ace deuce, stop and frisk them. They didn't do that to lower the crime or to stop a fucking crime syndicate. They didn't say over in New York, hey, every Italian dude that you see in Hell's Kitchen, you go ahead and lock them up. I mean, you stop and frisk them. Because then they'll stop being the mob. Every Italian you see in Little Italy, you stop and frisk them because that'll lower the crime and that will minimize the mob's power in Little Italy. What the hell? That is not what they do. That's not how it works. That's not what police work is. That is not what law enforcement is about. Which is why ain't nobody else doing this stupid shit. And that's why Bloomberg is apologizing for the shit. And plus, he want to be president.
We have to be open-minded to admit that we have a problem in minority communities.
Yes, we do. And it is a multifaceted one. And where it starts with correction is first and foremost the family. Hashtag a fatherless America.
Some of which are because of poverty. Some of which is because of lack of education. Some of which is culture. Culture of violence, culture of not having a father at home, not having positive role models.
Exactly.
Those things are factors, not the white man, not slavery, not the government. It's
the government does have a part in that because that fucking government aid shit, that Section 8 shit that keeps men out of the home, that's a part. That plays a part in that. Yes, that definitely plays a part in that. So
the people needing to have more positive influences and more positive role models
and all that starts with the father being in the home. That's where the work is, people. All of the shit that he's talking about that needs to change, that needs to be improved upon, that needs to be looked at, all of that starts with the reestablishment of the family, which starts with the father, the man, being back at the head like it is in every other fucking race in the country. And for that matter, damn near in the world. We're the only group of people, the American black household in the inner city, that is completely ruled by women, and we see the results of it.
Go back to God, go back to the family. All of those things are productive measures that we need to take serious. And if we don't, we're going to focus on being more upset about Bloomberg's statement than the reality of our communities. We'll be more upset.
And I'm not upset about Bloomberg's statement. I'm upset about Bloomberg's solution. And the fact that you was rolling with that shit. I was not upset about his statement because his statement, like I said at the beginning, it was rooted in facts. He was basically saying what the fact was. Definitely. I get that. But the solution was not stop and frisk. Say what you want to say, Bloomy, that wasn't it.
About President Trump's rhetoric about some countries or something he said about grabbing women than we are about real accomplishments. That is a problem, ladies and gentlemen. We need to focus on what's real. We need to focus on what's factual. The links are in the description section of the facts that I presented. I put, obviously, the diagrams on the video. Y'all let me know what you think. Is B. Tatum tripping? Is Bloomberg completely off? I don't think so. Appreciate y'all watching the video. Like it.
Alrighty. So, yes, I think y'all off. And I think that Bloomberg is tripping. So, that's just what I wanted to say about that. There was one other piece that I did want to show, which was... Where's my other video? Aha. There we go. This one here. And basically what this did, this is the guy who was basically talking about, and this is short, talking about the actual effects of stop and frisk.
Former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg is still considering launching a bid for the Democratic nomination. Over the weekend,
back from like November.
He apologized for one of his most well-known policies, stop and frisk. It's a New York police tactic that critics argued led to racial profiling. Here's part of the apology.
Now, hindsight is 20/20, but as crime continued to come down as we reduced stops, and as it continued to come down during the next administration, to its credit, I now see that we could and should have acted sooner and acted faster to cut the stops.
Now, why? Because of the fallout from that shit. So you look at the fact that crime wasn't being committed, but you're talking about reported crime. Because I can guarantee you that the police violated so many citizens' civil rights that it would probably blow your mind. There's no way that you could get a decline like that against a group of people without sheer force. No way possible. Motherfuckers was not looking up and saying, hey, they stopping and frisking everybody. Well, let's all stop doing crime. No. There was a huge, I could guarantee you, there were plenty of people that got their civil rights violated because of this. And the people got tired of getting abused, got tired of getting their ass beat, got tired of getting tased, shot, beat up, billy clubbed, choked out, whatever you want to call it. Because of what? Stop and frisk gave them what? The complete autonomy to stop and detain. That's what people don't understand. Now, you can't just detain me just for shits and giggles. They could then.
I wish we had. I'm sorry that we didn't. But I can't change history. However, today, I want you to know that I realized back then I was wrong, and I'm sorry.
Kari Lazar-White is a racial justice advocate and attorney. He's also co-founder and executive director of the Harlem-based nonprofit Brotherhood Sister Soul, which was active in speaking out and taking action to end stop and frisk. So, Kari, what's your opinion of this? But first of all, can you remind everybody what stop and frisk was all about?
Right. So stop and frisk is a symptom of broken windows policing. It's an approach to policing particular communities, in this case, Black and Latino communities here in New York City, that was different and disparate than other communities. Under the law, a Terry stop, the police have to have a reasonable suspicion to stop somebody.
Exactly. And look, Kyle, so here's the thing. We all profile. There is a profile. You saying there is nothing to profile? No, there absolutely is. Plain and simple. There is profiling that goes on. You have to profile. Good policing starts with profiling. You have to know what it is you're looking for in order to find it. And then you have to know what that description is. And the characteristics of that particular group that is committing those crimes. You need to use that as a police officer, because that's going to help you deduce who the fuck is doing fuck shit and who's not. It's fine. If I'm looking for a gangbanger, I'm not looking for a person wearing a three-piece suit. Could a person who's wearing a three-piece suit potentially be a gangbanger? Yeah, he could. He could be one in court. But that's not the case on the streets. I'm looking for the person who fits the gangbanger uniform. If you're looking for a prostitute, are you going to look for somebody who's wearing a fucking ballroom gown dress? No. You're going to look for somebody who's wearing a micro mini and some fucking flats or some heels or some shit, walking down the street, barely making it at 2 a.m. That's what you're doing. You're profiling. That person fits the profile of a prostitute, so that's who I'm going to think is a prostitute. That person fits the profile of a fucking drug dealer or a street thug. I'm going to stop and pay attention to that person. That's exactly what you want to do. People try to make it seem, oh, it's profile, racial profiling. No. bullshit to the back. It absolutely is racial profiling. I should be profiling. The FBI profile motherfuckers all the time. You do it all the time. Somebody tells you, hey man, look, they locked up a person who this guy he got pulled over on a traffic stop, and in searching their car, this person's car, they found that this person had 4 bodies that were partially eaten in the trunk of his car. What are you initially going to think, or the profile of that person? Could that person be black or Hispanic or white? Yes. The profile of that person is what? Some weird looking middle-aged white dude. Plain and simple. Why? Because most people that do that crime, they are middle-aged, weird looking white dudes with some fucking glasses or something. The immediate image that most of you all got from me saying that was a fucking Jeffrey Dahmer type. It's what it is.
Something that they can articulate. There were 10 million stops during the Bloomberg administration over 12 years, 10 million. In 95% of those cases, there was no crime committed, no warrant, no gun, no drugs. So there were.
Now, let's just say that number's a little skewed. 10 million stops. Let's say 85% of them was that. No gun, no crime, no nothing. 10 million stops? That's 8.5 million niggas that was just stopped for being niggas. Proves my point. You're going to do the shit because you can. You were given this power and you're going to abuse it.
Wrong 95% of the time, which certainly doesn't reach a.
And it's not a thing of them saying, oh, well, that means it was 8.5, it was 10 million niggas in the hood committing crime. No, that is a product of being a bunch of fucking police officers that are not well trained and that are outmanned and are literally trying to put a band-aid on a fucking bullet wound. We don't have the fucking resources, and we don't have the training to sort these motherfuckers out, so let's just stop everybody. Fuck it.
Level of reasonableness. But the second part that's so invasive is that the mayor announced this as a policy to get guns off the street and to stop violence. In 0.1% of the cases, a weapon was found and somebody was prosecuted. 0.1%. So you have 10 million stops of hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers. Some stopped 30 times, 20 times, 10 times. I was stopped twice. This is at gunpoint, the night, in streets, in Harlem.
And he's making a valid point. Not that this happens all the time, but this damn show does happen a good chunk of the time.
And in Bed-Stuy. Just imagine what that feels like, what that invasive destruction of your sense of protection and privacy is in a moment, and now multiply that by 10 million stops.
So you just said that you yourself was stopped and frisked.
Yes.
So tell us about that and how that felt, and then your reaction to what Mayor Bloomberg said, and is an apology enough?
Well, you have a constitutional right and an expectation of privacy when you walk down the street to be safe as a person walking through the streets of New York. The reality is that police have created a situation where all too often black and brown people do not feel safe. And the mayor's policy allowed that to run rampant. The feeling of having no security in your body, in yourself, being pointed at you on a dark street when you're scared for your life, when you're thinking about your family or your loved ones. And the result of that interaction is not even an apology, but actually the building of a database of people's records and, in certain cases, people's DNA. What happens in response to that? And so an apology doesn't feel commensurate with 10 million stops, the violation of your privacy, and the feeling of losing complete control over who you are and your safety in this city.
Michael Bloomberg was mayor of New York City for 12 years.
Correct.
Do you think this will be the last word in the era of aggressive policing?
Aggressive policing has been a part of America since its founding.
And see, here's the thing, too. It's like, I don't know what the fuck y'all talking about, Sheila Strong. You saying, who is Sam Little? Was convicted of 3 murders. People believe anything. I don't know who the fuck Sam Little is, but let's see if we can find out. Google web search Samuel Little. There you go. But my thing is this. It's like, You talking about aggressive policemen, aggressive policing, and all of that good shit. There is a certain way to go about policing high crime areas. That's what I said before. You establish task force. You establish community outreach. You go and tell these people, hey, y'all want these drug dealers off your blocks? Tell us what the fuck is going on. When we come around, talk to us. Everybody ain't gonna comply, but then you use the other side of that, which is your own resources and your intel. Stop spending all this fucking money on a bullshit ass impeachment and start spending this money on fucking communities that need resources. But y'all don't want to talk about that. What did he say? Between 1987, murders of 3 women, he claimed to have killed as many as 93 people. Investigators have linked them to over 60 murders. Okay. All right. Yeah, let me keep it moving. Because I don't see what the relevancy of that is. It's like if he said he killed 3 is more than enough. If they said they linked him, he said he killed 93, but they can prove he killed 3, but he's linked to over 60. There's got to be some truth in them numbers somewhere. Shit. Or something got to link them motherfuckers. But whatever.
Modern police forces are based on the protection of property and the oversight of enslaved people and later released enslaved people. So it's been an aspect of this country since its founding. It continues. The mayor's policy was emblematic of that. And I think until we come to terms with mass incarceration, the over-policing of Black and brown communities, the business connected to it, but the politics connected to it, we won't see a change. And so is an apology enough? Absolutely not.
You also brought up the politics part of it.
Correct.
He's expected to put his hat in the nomination to run for president of the United States.
Right.
Do you think the timing is all just too off? 12 years later?
It's like that's what it is. It's like, and this is the thing, like, why even bring, you know what it is. You know he's saying this because he's getting ready to make a run. He want to throw his hat in the ring, and he did. But the thing is this, when you're talking about aggressive policing, there was a time when that shit had its place. There was a time when when you're talking about establishing law and order, when you're talking about establishing order in the midst of chaos, there is a iron fist part of that. There is an enforcement of sheer will in that. You must overpower or overtake your enemy. I get that. But you have laws in place to keep it to where this one particular group doesn't have complete power. Just like in the movie 300. Whole thing about 300 was what? Caesar was in power all of that time, when power should have been to the people and all that good shit. Because they were at war, they had this one person having complete autonomy to go out and do all of these great things in the name of Rome, taking over all the savages and all that shit in the name of Rome. However, when Caesar came back, he was supposed to give power back to the people. Y'all vote for the shit y'all want. Y'all talk about the shit y'all want. Elect the people that y'all want to represent y'all, and we vote on everything. However, his son wanted that power. I want to be Caesar. That's all I'm saying. You don't give complete autonomy to a group because they will abuse that power. Period.
You've been asking for an apology. You haven't gotten it, and now you get one?
Well, there was pushback and defiance for the 12 years of his mayoralty, but also the 6 years post his mayoralty. And so he and Commissioner Kelly and others continued to defend a discredited policy. They attacked the federal judge who found it to be unconstitutional, racially disparate. So for 18 years, it was supported and defended. And now, just as he's announcing his presidential campaign, the apology comes forward. So it's certainly it is something that I can't take seriously. It's something that, to me, is discredited. And it also would only have to be the beginning of a restorative justice approach of this should be the beginning of trying to respond to the hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers who remember he was elected to protect and serve. Right. And what will be done to rectify all of those years of damage.
And all of that shit is all relevant when you're talking about the aftermath of the shit. But my point and the point was showing this was just showing those numbers of just saying out of all of those stops, the greater majority of them were bogus as fuck. Why is that? Why is that? Because you have a bunch of police officers that were literally abusing that power. That's it. And that's what it came down to. And that explains the abrasion on your palm. But that was my point to that, to showing that piece of it. When you're talking about saying, hey, we're trying to bring about change. Hey, we're trying to make things, neighborhoods safer. We're trying to make neighborhoods better. When you're talking about doing those things, then that has to be done with the sense of saying, what's the problem? How do we solve it? What is the way to solve it, as opposed to just saying, how do we stop it? You don't want to stop crime. You want to solve crime. Then you want to, not solve crime. You want to prevent crime. That's where you want to get to. What is the source of this crime? Compared to the other neighborhoods, compared to the other communities, compared to the other racial groups, what is the common denominator here that's missing? Family, fathers. That's it. That's where it starts. That's where you start that. So how do we bring that back? How do we correct that? That's where you need to start having the conversation. But in the meantime, what do you do? Because that's what somebody who's hearing me say this, they'll say, yeah, but what happens right now? Because what you're talking about takes, decades to even try to begin to see change or lift indifference in those numbers. You're right. What you do now is you establish task force. You establish resources to combat the crime that's going on. Just like in New Jack City. I need some New Jack cops to take down a New Jack drug dealer. That's what you do. But please don't try to go get Ice-T, because he's a terrible police officer. He showed it then, and he shows it now. All right? I'm just saying. All right, so I just wanted to go over that and get that off my chest. Let me first and foremost give a shout out to everybody that made a donation. Shout out to my man Billy Go Gruff. He said, "For I've been in MIA for a minute, glad to see my wrench." Oh yeah, of course, man. I appreciate you, Billy Goat, and glad to see you back, man. Thank you, sir. Also, my man Angry Man hit your boy off with $4. Billy Goat hit me with $5, and my man Angry Man hit your boy off with $4. Thank you for your donation, sir. I appreciate it. And my man Brass Man Taker, who always donate and hit your boy off with $2.50. I appreciate you, man. Good service. Always much appreciated. Also, to everybody else that has donated, let me just double check the PayPal just to be sure, because I know somebody might throw me a buck or two over there, and I don't want to miss it. Let's see. Thank you. Beverly Jones hit your boy off with $1. That's what's up. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your donation. But my thing is this, man. Just keep in mind to say, hey, there's always a conversation to be had, and there's always facts that you can use to make a statement. But be careful of those facts when trying to come up with a solution, because there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it as far as just saying, well, the fact of the matter is that most crime happens in black communities, so let's lock up all the niggas. That's essentially what you're saying, and that's not the way to go. That's all I'm saying. So, shout out to everybody that came and supported the show. Thank you for clicking the like. If you're watching it now, click the like and subscribe. To everybody that came through on the United Guns of America channel, thank you so much. I always point over there because that's where the screen is for. And everybody else that has tuned in, thank you guys so much for clicking the like button, for clicking the share button. Leave me your comments. Let me know. B. Tatum, hey man, appreciate your content. Would love to have a conversation with you about it. If you get to see this, I don't know if it'll get to you or not, but I definitely just wanted to acknowledge and challenge the fact of what you said. We're coming up right on an hour and 30 minutes. That's what's up. Hey, guys, thank you so much. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did. I did get some bad news today. My dog that was in Chicago, Optimus Prime, he was the best Italian Cane Corso. He died yesterday. And I was pretty fucking bummed out when I heard that. So, Prime, I appreciate you, man. You were a great dog. I wish I could have took you with me when I moved, but I just couldn't do it. But, hey, it is what it is, man. I will miss you. You were a great dog. I picked you and raised you up as a pup. And now you've gone on, hopefully, dog heaven. But you guys have a good night. Thank you all so much. And I'll probably cry again about my dog dying. But hey, such is life. It's all a part of the grieving process and the healing process. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all so much. Yes, it was a good show. Thank you guys for your comments and your participation, because you guys help make this thing go round. And as always, Optimus Prime was my dog. Yeah, thank y'all. I appreciate it, man. But thank you to everybody that commented. Thank you to everybody that stopped through. Click the like button, click the share button, leave me a comment or two if you need to. And always you can email me at ugoa1791@gmail.com or the relationshiprehab@gmail.com. Thank you guys. Love y'all. Peace, and I'm out.